All right, well, welcome everyone. Looks like Wayne has the first item and he's not on the call, so I'll just go ahead and read it. He says, FYI, Thomas is working on dog fooding security approvals on GitLab projects by the end of the quarter, starting with secret detection due to the low false positive rate. Those who report to the VP of development will be the approvers of overrides. The security team will get an FYI if an override is done per the recommendation from Lawrence. And this actually is kind of on the same point that I brought up last meeting, although we didn't have nearly the same attendance here, but we have made a lot of changes and I think we've addressed all the feedback that we received previously from the security department on this. So it would be fantastic if we could start dog fooding this more across GitLab and collect feedback on what we now have. We have time. I'd love to show a short demo of it if that's okay too, or of interest.
Yeah, demo would be great.
Philippe, I couldn't answer if that's the corresponding issue or not because it's kind of Wayne and Thomas's item, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, that one.
So.
Yeah, I've synced with Thomas on it. And, that's the one he's the main one he's working on.
But just to show you a short demo, and I know Philippe, you were involved and maybe some others as well in the research done for these initial mocks. But instead of setting these up in the settings where you do the rest of the MR approvals, it's all now handled under security and compliance policies. So a development project is able to be linked to a separate security policy project. And then all of the policies get stored in that security policy project. So if I go ahead and open that up here, you'll see it's a pretty sparse project. It's just got a folder in here with a YAML file, and this is where all of the policies are stored. So you can edit this YAML directly if you're Philippe and you like YAML, or if you prefer a better UI experience, you can also come in, create a new policy, choose scan result policy. We also have scan execution policy. Network policies are going away in 15.0. But as part of this, you can walk through this UI and you'll see it just live updates the YAML as you modify things. So, require approval for all criticals and highs, and you can pick all scanners, you can pick specific scanners. In the case where, some of these might have more false positives than others, you might want to only look at secret detection. And we now have super granular rules. You can pick exactly how many vulnerabilities you're interested in and of what types, whether they're newly detected, or if you wanted to, crack down on things that are already in the default branch, you could do that as well. But the really nice thing is that you can chain these rules together. So you're not fixed to just one. You could say, I'm interested in secret detection where there's any criticals at all, but then as far as highs, if they're just introducing one high vulnerability, that's okay. But I want to flag if they're introducing 4 or more that are newly detected. And again, you can kind of mix and match these rules for the different scanners and define who's going to be eligible to approve that. The way this works, because it's a linked project, it does support one-to-many linking. So you can have one security policy project that's linked out to multiple development projects for ease of managing the policies. We're also working on group level policies that will come in the future, probably the not too distant future. But for now, these are linked up at the project basis. But again, you can have, they can even be across groups, right? So you can have a security policy project in one group, linked to a development project in a totally different group, and you can link it up to as many different development projects as you would like. The idea is that it provides full separation of duties, so the security team can manage these policies. You would give the security team permissions to manage the policies in that security approval project. And then you also have full audit logging anytime the policies are changed, and you can have your own approval process for policy changes inside of the security team. So if you wanted to say, you know, Philippe's got too much power in this organization. We don't want him to approve these by himself. He needs to route that to somebody else for approval, for example, just throwing that out. Right, you could do that as well. But that's the quick overview. Are there any questions or comments or feedback on that new capability?
Very cool. I'm excited to see this having more the more advanced policies you can create on there. I guess, is it already in the product now, or when? So it's already there with the.
Yep, it was released in GitLab 14.8, so it's been in there for almost 2 months now. And in 15.0, we're actually removing the vulnerability check as you knew it previously, and we're migrating all of those rules over to security approval policies. So this will fully replace vulnerability check as it existed previously.
How do you attach these policies to a project? You study in settings. Can you do that at the group level, for example?
So like I said, the group level is still being worked on. So
okay.
Not available yet. But you have to be a project owner, and that's by design because we don't want just anyone to be able to remove these.
Okay.
But if you're a project owner, you just come up here and you find your project, you can unlink it if you want. But this will let you search any project that you have access to, not just in the same group.
Okay, that was my next question. Thank you.
You can link it up via the API as well. Like if you've got thousands of projects, it makes it a little bit more convenient that way. But yeah, again, we're working on this for the group level is in progress.
Thank you.
So unless there are more comments or feedback, I guess, Ethan, we can probably move on to your item that's next.
Yeah, I mean, I was just confirming that 15.0 is coming out next month, and that's when the report schemas will, if they're invalid, they'll be enforced as opposed to just warned on right now. The full context for this is package owner needs to be updated. So I'm just, verifying how much time we have to get it out. Matt answered most of the stuff. The one question I have is when do we know when it'll hit GitLab.com? Because that's, that we primarily use it within GitLab. And so if it, I just want to get a heads up for when that'll start breaking on GitLab.com.
So I think we could break it as early as April 23rd.
Okay.
Would be like within our commitments, because GitLab.com is, yeah, we can update it anytime between April 23rd and May 22nd. So
okay.
It's in that 1 month time frame.
I talked to Dennis this morning about this, and I explained to him how to update package enter accordingly. That should be very straightforward, actually.
Okay. Cool.
So if everything goes fine, it's just a matter of 15 minutes. If not, it's maybe a few days, not more than that.
Hey, Ethan, sorry, I was talking to a refrigerator repair tech. I think that question was for me. So a couple of points of clarification on this. So while they are formally deprecated, we are being conservative in actually turning on enforcement. So we reserve the right to start rejecting all of those in 15.0. We don't necessarily have to start doing that.
Okay.
We are being very sensitive because we have a number of integration partners that they've been communicated with a while back, but in the event that there's, let's say, 1 or 2 of them that are not able to get their reports in compliance, we don't want to just break everything. I do wonder too if there's a better way to communicate this, since it was several months ago that we sent out the deprecation notices in the normal place, but we've also are creating an email distribution list that anybody can sign up to that will be specific to security integrations like this. the
Okay.
intent is for both partners as well as the wider community. That may be something that would be helpful. Because admittedly, Package Hunter is not something we were aware of. And I can see how that would have fallen through the cracks for us because it's not really our product in terms of it's
Yeah.
not an analyzer and it's not a partner that we would normally communicate with. So certainly don't want to break all the things and make you guys rush, but like to avoid that kind of stuff in the future as we continue to build out more of our own tooling.
Yeah. I mean, we had awareness prior to this week. It just like, there was a little bit of prioritization and stuff on our part. That's why I just wanted to confirm that it's upcoming. So I mean, I think the warning in the UI that worked for us. It just, we didn't, so it wasn't like it came out of nowhere, basically, is what I'm saying. But anyway, I have the information we need, and I think we can move on from there, and we should be able to get it done pretty quickly.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, if you hit any speed bumps with that, I do know that we have
Uh-huh.
customers using that out in the field as well. So
Uh-huh.
the last thing we want to do is break things for customers if we can avoid it like that. So
Yeah.
just let us know if we're not going to make the timeline on that, and we can hold off on the hard enforcement.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So I just wanted to call out that for the API security category, we are working on our complete maturity, and part of that is defined as being dog fooded within GitLab. But there's been a blocker that we don't have any type of open API spec or other schema that we can use to define the test for API security, whether it's DAST API or API fuzzing. So we're going to start working on an API discovery feature within API security. And there's a few things that we're looking at, to start off with, like just finding GraphQL schema or something like that. But I wanted to know who I would need to work with in order to make sure that we get the GitLab use cases covered and that we can, provide this usage here and answer that issue, not just answer for our customers, but also make sure that GitLab is included in that.
Yeah,
I would
this
include Costel.
should be my team. Yeah,
Yeah.
Costel would be a good idea. Also myself in there.
Okay, cool. Then I will reach out to you once we start working in earnest on this. We're finishing up a couple of other things before we switch over, but we should start it in the next couple of milestones.
Sounds good.
Hey, so real quick, I just noticed that there's nothing next on the agenda. I just, first, I wanted to say hi to Matt and anyone else who hasn't had a coffee chat with me, may not know my role within the security group. So I'm here to help bridge the gap between security and all of our external partners that we do work with. So I will be checking up on different projects, making sure that we reduce friction wherever possible, make things a little bit easier. Also look for opportunities to get ahead of anything where we in security are doing the same thing that you in product are doing, and we don't know it. And then I'll be running a few larger, more cross-cutting initiatives that'll be going on. But good to meet you guys, and I'll be coming to this regularly. I did wonder if everyone had an opportunity to update the section at the top of the notes. I know that there's a lot of information up there on pain points and links to dog fooding status, things like that. I wasn't sure if that's something that you guys regularly keep refreshed, or if that's something I need to ask about when we do these sessions.
Well, my name wasn't on there, so no, at least for me. But pain points, I'd be interested in if those are open.
Yeah, I don't typically go through those up there and keep them updated. I was under the impression that that was more for like the security team to let us know of any issues that they're having. So I wasn't, going through it myself and updating, since I don't necessarily know what the pain points are or anything like that. So yeah, I was leaving that alone and just answering issues as they came up.
Yeah, I view it that way as well. It's a list of things that the security department has requested of us, and I take a look at it and factor that into my prioritization. Like I said, one of those feedback items was the approval rules that are rigid, and I think we've solved that. But, I don't want to like delete it entirely until I have confirmation from the security team that the new solution meets their needs.
Yeah, I love that approach. That works for me. And I do think if it is used for that purpose, then I'll make sure that the security folks have been keeping that fresh, as long as you guys can make sure to check in on it to see if there's anything new added there. But I'll try to make sure that anything new gets brought in, and I'll help close the loop on those things, Sam, like you bring up.
Yeah, if you want to like mention in the doc if something gets added, that's really helpful. And also feel free to talk any other way, issues, Slack, whatever.
I like that, Connor. Thanks. It's a good one. Cool. That's all I had.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.